Hey everyone, welcome back to another Codex review. As always, my name is Jane, and I'm going to be going over in this week's video. I'm going to be going over the new Imperial Fists Supplement from Games Workshop, of course. Those who know what Space Marines faction I play, I love Imperial Fists, so I've been very excited to review and wait for this Codex. This is the last of there have been 6 supplements total. These are one of the last 2. This and Salamanders. Prior to this, with the launch of the new Codex, there was White Scars and Ultramarines, and then it was Iron Hands and Ravens. So, yeah. Ravenclaw. Now it's this. Now it's Imperial Fists, and it is Salamanders. And so, in this video, I'll be going over my review over the Codex review of the Codex supplement and everything about it. It's not too big. It's going to be a full lot of fun. Yes, and as always, this video is brought to you by my Patreon campaign. If you want to help support my videos, please check out the link in the description below. And yes, so my first impressions of this review. It's good. It's cool. Now, I am a little confused. Now, for those of you, maybe it's a silly question, but it does implicitly state, if your army is battle-forged, then in addition to the detachment abilities gained from Codex Space Marines, units in your army with the Combat Doctrines ability gain the Legacy of Dorn ability. So long as, with the exception of unaligned units, every unit from your army is Imperial Fists unit, or every unit from your army is from the same Imperial Fists successor chapter. So, what I've been trying to wonder about this, I haven't played the new Space Marines in any of the supplements yet, is do they keep their tactical rules? Basically for the Space Marines, each one gets their own tactics, and I think they keep them because it would make sense to me that they keep them as in the rules. And what I'm referring to is the chapter tactics. And because Imperial Fist chapter tactic is that basically ranged weapons ignore cover, so the receiving models that you're shooting at don't get the benefit of cover, and any bolt weapon to hit roll of 6 generates an additional hit. Right? And I think that carries over to the supplements. That's the way I've been interpreting it until I was reading this Codex. And maybe I'm wrong. Leave comments in the comment section down below of what, if I'm right or wrong. Do the combat doctrines carry over to this one? Chapter tactics. Do the chapter tactics carry over? Do these guys keep it? Because that would make a very good discussion, because obviously I love the bolter fire. Most of my army is usually comprised of bolters, and that's a really important rule to keep in your codex. And I think they do, except in this supplement, one of the additional stratagems is bolter drill for 2 command points. Use stratagem in the shooting phase when you choose an Imperial Fists unit from your army to shoot with until the end of the phase when resolving an attack made by a model in that unit with a bolt weapon. An additional unmodified hit roll of 6 scores 1 additional hit. So, yeah. I'm guessing it's just there to stack on top of it. So for every hit is 3 hits. I think so. That's my interpretation of it. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that'd be pretty fun. That's why it's worth 2 command points. But yeah, so let's go over the Codex. Basically, because much like the other supplements, there are no named characters in the Space Marine Codex. So each supplement has all the named characters for that chapter and successor chapters. In this case, because this covers not only Imperial Fists, this also covers Crimson Fists, one of the successor chapters of the Imperial Fists who have a character. And comes with some psychic powers, some tactical objectives, some stratagems, some relics, especially war gear, some extra rules. Yeah. So my first impressions of this Codex, of course, as I said, it is a good supplement. It will help improve Imperial Fist games. It will not break the game like Iron Hands, which I think Iron Hands just recently got nerfed through the latest FAQ. This is not a big game changer compared to Iron Hands. The big thing about Iron Hands that really broke the meta, so basically all of a sudden Iron Hands was winning everything, was that you got the really cheap new HQ guy, and he gave everything around him within 6 inches a 5-up invulnerable save, so you can wrap him with, Repulsor Executioners, all of them get a 5-up invulnerable save with a 6-up Feel No Pain. it really keeps them alive so that they can just obliterate everything. And that kind of broke the meta for a few weeks, and they've fixed it since. So in this codex, I don't see anything meta changing. It's just going to add some more competitiveness. It's going to be fun. I don't think the new HQ is broken. He's pretty cool, and I'm definitely going to pick him up and paint him. This is my last week of painting for my Imperial Fists, and they've convinced me to buy one more model. That's okay. And as I said, we'll go over everything in over this review. The big thing is the new rules, of course. If your thing is entirely Imperial Fists, you get the Legacy of Dorn, which is, well, the Devastator Doctrine is still active, so usually turn 1 and 2 for most of these games, looks like, for Space Marines. When resolving an attack made with a heavy weapon by a model with this ability against a vehicle or building, you're going to notice building a lot. All the special rules are basically vehicles and buildings, and nobody really uses buildings these days. But at least for vehicles, it's nice. But, yeah, add 1 to the damage characteristic of that weapon for that attack. Cool. As I said, a lot of the special rules in this codex are buildings and vehicles, and really no one uses buildings. That's okay. And of course, successor chapters. There's warlord traits, chapter relics, stratagem, psychic powers, and tactical objectives. So there are 2 sets of warlord traits specifically for this codex. One of them is for Imperial Fists. One of them is for Crimson Fists. The Crimson Fist ones are kind of nasty. The Imperial Fist ones are cool. Number 1, the first one is Siege Master. When resolving an attack made by this warlord against a building or vehicle, you guys can have a drinking game of how many times I say building or vehicle in this review. Add 1 to the wound roll. Indomitable. This is my favorite one of them, and this is the one that Lysander has. It's just when resolving an attack made against this warlord, an unmodified wound roll of 1 to 3 always fails, irrespective of any abilities that the weapon or the model making the attack may have. So it helps keep them alive. Cool. Number 3, Fleet Master. Fleet Master is, once per battle at the end of your fight phase, if this warlord remains stationary and did not make any attacks this turn, it can call down an orbital strike. Basically, you choose a point of the field, roll a bunch of dice. On a 4-up, the model, or the unit suffers D3 mortal wounds, -1 for character. Stubborn Heroism, number 4. And this one is when this warlord cannot fall back. When resolving an attack against this warlord, half any damage inflicted. Rounding up. Helps keep him alive. Number 5, Architect of War. When resolving an attack against a friendly Imperial Fist unit, within 6 inches of this warlord, with a weapon that has an armor penetration characteristic of -1, if the unit is receiving the benefit of cover, add an additional 1 to the saving throw. Helps keep them alive. This does not apply to invulnerable saves. And number 6, Hand of Dorn. Before any battle, if your army is battle-forged, roll 1d3. You gain a number of command points equal to the result. Cool. And, yeah, so Lysander has Indomitable. Tor Garradon has he's the new guy. He has Siege Master. And Pedro Cantor has Stoic Defender. And Stoic Defender, I'm going to go over that in a second. So Crimson Fists, warlord traits, are number 1 to 2, refuse to die. And this is the first time your warlord is destroyed. Roll a d6 at the end of the phase. On 4-up, return this warlord to play with D3 wounds remaining, placing them as close as possible to the previous position and more than 1 inch away from their enemy models. That's pretty cool. That's nasty. 3 to 4, Tenacious Opponent. When you choose this warlord to fight with, if there are at least 5 enemy models within 6 inches of them, add D3 to the warlord's attacks characteristic. Cool. Until the end of the phase. 5 to 6, Stoic Defender. This is the one that Pedro has. Friendly Crimson Fist units have the Defenders of Humanity ability. While they are within 6 inches of this warlord, if a unit already has that ability, each model in that unit counts as 2 models for the purpose of that ability. So let me just grab the codex, of course, and we're going to grab just grab those special rules so I can go over everything. It's the Defenders of Humanity. I'll grab it after if I can't find it. I just remember that specific rule name. Oh, it's if you're all troops. It's objectives secured. Okay. Cool. but friendly crimson units. So that's cool. He gives objectives secured basically to all things around him. Cool. So interesting powers. As I said, so let's go over the 3 HQs, which is what the purpose of adding this as well to your army. You can take one of these 3 HQs that are named. There's 2, of course, for Imperial Fists, which are Captain Lysander and Tor Garradon, and then there's the one for for Crimson Fists, which is Pedro Cantor. None of them have changed in points costs. So Lysander's still 130, which is a great price. Pedro Cantor is 150. Tor Garradon is 140. So we'll start with Lysander. Still movement 5 inches, weapon skill 2 up, ballistic skill 2 up, strength 4, toughness 4, 6 wounds, 4 attacks, leadership 9, 2 up save. He has Fist of Dorn, which is strength plus 6, AP minus 3, 3 damage. He has Angels of Death, Walking Fortress, which gives him a 3 up invulnerable save. Rights of Battle. Reroll hits a 1 for all units within 6 inches of him that are Imperial Fists. Teleport Strike, he can Deep Strike, and Icon of Obstinacy. Basically, when a morale test is taken, for Imperial Fist unit within 6 inches of the model, no more than 1 model can flee if it's failed. Cool, and he's awesome. So he's a great HQ. Up next with the new guy, Tor Garradon. I'm going to have to pick him up, the guy with the gigantic Fist of Doom. He is movement 5 inches, weapon skill 2 up, ballistic skill 2 up, strength 4, toughness 5. So he's a little bit tougher than Lysander. 7 wounds, so 1 more wound than Lysander. 5 attacks, which is 1 more attack than Lysander. So you're already seeing he's already getting better. Leadership 9, 3 up save. He has a 3 up save though, and a 4 up invulnerable save versus Lysander's 2 up, 3 up. So he's not as survivable ultimately, right? That's the thing. But he has an extra wound. He has a grav gun, right? 18-inch range, rapid fire 1, strength 5, AP minus 3, D1. And obviously, because it's grav, if you're resolving an attack against an armor save of 3 up, it becomes D3 damage. And he also has Hand of Defiance, the giant fist, which is what I want to get him for. He's awesome looking. It's strength times 3, which is interesting. I haven't seen a times 3 yet in this thing. So he's strength 12, AP minus 3, 3 damage, and of course, subtract 1 to hit, unfortunately. So he's only hitting on 3s, but of course you can always stack it because he rerolls 1s with himself, and you can make him probably he's not a captain. Is he? Oh, he's a captain. Yeah, so you can make him upgrade him or something. Angels of Death. He has Iron Halo, so 4 up invulnerable save, Rights of Battle, reroll 1s for units within 6 inches of them. They're Imperial Fists. To hit, Signum Array, so that at the start of your shooting phase, you can select 1 friendly Imperial Fist unit that is within 3 inches of the model. Models in the selected unit have a ballistic skill characteristic of 2 up, so i.e. he's going to be right beside a Repulsor Executioner. Yep, or a squad of, rapid firing plasmas, or, you're going to put him right beside something that's going to be nasty, give him a ballistic skill 2 up, have some fun. Siege Captain. When resolving an attack made by this model against a vehicle or building, units add 1 to the damage characteristic of the weapon being used for that attack. Cool. And finally, we have Pedro Cantor. Pedro Cantor is the character for the Crimson Fists. He is movement 6 inches, weapon skill 2 up, ballistic skill 2 up, strength 4, toughness 4, 6 wounds, 5 attacks, leadership 9, 2 up save. He has Dorn's Arrow, so he's a shot. 24-inch range, assault 4, strength 4, AP minus 1, 2 damage. Not bad. It'll hurt some people. He has a Power Fist, which is strength times 2, AP minus 3, D3 damage. And when resolving an attack, minus 1 to hit. He has Frag Grenades, Crack Grenades. Cool. Angels of Death. He's a Chapter Master, so you can re-roll hit rolls for attacks made Crimson Fist models within 6 inches of him, right? So he's a Chapter. He's a Chapter Master, which is better than a Captain ultimately. And so it's much better to hit, again. Repulsor Executioners. Oath of Rin. Add 1 to the attacks characteristic of a model. Add 1 to the attacks characteristic of models in friendly Crimson Fist units while they're within 6 inches of him. And he has a 4 up invulnerable save. So pretty cool too. Excellent. So those are the 3 HQs, right? That's it. They don't give any... they're all helpful. They're all give auras of awesomeness. And you can always make it so that it's broken by surrounding them by Repulsor Executioners, as is done in the competitive meta. So now we'll get to the relics. The relics, we were doing the Warlord traits. Relics. So relics are pretty cool. Nothing's a really game breaker, but I think they're cool. There's the Spartian, or the Spartian. It's Imperial Fist model with a bolt pistol, or heavy bolt pistol only, which narrows it down significantly. The relic replaces a bolt pistol or heavy bolt pistol and has the following characteristic. It's an 18-inch range, pistol 2, strength 4, AP minus 3, D2. This model can target a character even when it's not the closest model, but only has an 18-inch range, right? It can snipe it, basically. There's the Banner of Staganta, which is cool. So Imperial Fist Ancient model only. When resolving an attack made with this melee weapon, with a melee weapon by a model with an Imperial Fist unit that is wholly within 6 inches, add 1 to the hit roll. Yeah, situational. The Eye of Hypnoth, Imperial Fist model only. When resolving an attack with a ranged weapon by a model with the Imperial Fist unit that is within 6 inches of the friendly model with the relic, reroll a wound roll of 1. So that's cool. So that basically prevents you from having to take a lieutenant. That's what a lieutenant would be brought for. You stack a captain and a lieutenant, reroll hits of 1, reroll wound rolls of 1. So you can give this to someone and it becomes a mini lieutenant, right? The Bones of Ozrak. Imperial Librarian only. When a psychic test is taken for a model with a relic that is attempting to manifest a psychic power on the Geokinesis discipline, you can reroll the result. Duty's Burden. Crimson Fist model only. With a mastercrafted auto bolt rifle or mastercrafted stalker bolt rifle only. That narrows it down pretty easily. This relic replaces a mastercrafted whatever, replaces the weapon, and it's 30-inch range, rapid fire 2, strength 5, AP minus 2, 2 damage. The Fist of Vengeance, Crimson Fist model with a power fist only. It narrows it down once again. The relic replaces the power fist and has the following profile: strength times 2, AP minus 3, 3 damage. And I'm guessing no -1 to hit, which is good. So that's it. They have a special issue war gear. If your army is led by an Imperial Fist Warlord or Warlord drawn from an Imperial Fist Successor chapter, you can give one of the following special issue war gear relics to an Imperial Fist character model from your army, or a character model from your army that is drawn from the Imperial Fist Successor chapter. Note that some relics are weapons and that replace one of the model's existing weapons. So there's the Adamantine Mantle, which gives a 5-up feel no pain. So when a model with this relic would lose a wound, roll 1d6 on a 5-up, that model's not lost. Help keep your characters alive. Artificer Armor, which is a 2-up, 5-up, 2-up save, 5-up invulnerable save. Mastercrafted weapon. When you give this a model with this relic, select one weapon that the model is equipped with. This cannot be a weapon whose profile includes the word Mastercrafted. Add 1 of the damage characteristic of that weapon. The weapon is considered to be a chapter relic. Digital weapons. When a model with this relic fights, it can make 1 additional attack using the close combat weapon profile. When resolving that attack, if a hit is scored, the target suffers 1 mortal wound, and the attack sequence ends. Okay. Fists of Terra. A model with a power fist only. The problem is I don't take a lot of power fists. No. It's really hard to take in my Primaris Marines. This relic replaces the power fist and has a following profile. Strength melee. It's basically the same as the Fist of Vengeance, but makes 1 additional attack. So strength times 2, AP minus 3, D3, so it's weaker versus the Fist of Vengeance, and begin making an additional attack. And no -1 to hit, it looks like. Gatebreaker Bolts. This is cool. When you give a model this relic, select 1 bolt weapon that the model is equipped with. When it fights, you can choose it for it to fire a Gatebreaker Bolt. If you do, you only make 1 attack with that weapon, but if the attack hits, make D3 wound rolls against instead of 1. Each successful wound roll results in a wound that must be allocated. When resolving the attack, the weapon has an armor penetration value of -5 and a damage of 1. Cool. Auric Aquila. A model with this relic has a 4-up invulnerable save. When a model with this relic would lose a wound, you roll a d6 on a 5-up, it's not lost. And Warden's Curtis add 1 of the wound characteristic of a model with this relic. So it's cool. Yeah. That's cool. The stratagems are cool. I'm not going to really go over I have some time. I'm 20 minutes in. And, yeah, might as well. Because it finishes off the codex, really. So, stratagems. There's Bitter Enmity, 1 command point. Use it in the fight phase when an Imperial Fist unit in your army is chosen to fight with, until the end of the phase when resolving an attack made with a melee weapon by a model in that unit against an Iron Warriors unit, so very specific. You can reroll the hit roll, and you can reroll the wound roll. Next one's Bolster Defenses, 1 CP. This is a cool one, I like this one. Use a stratagem at the start of your movement phase. Select one Imperial Fist infantry unit that from your army that is entirely on or within a terrain feature. As long as that unit remains stationary when resolving an attack made against that unit, add an additional 1 to the saving throw. This will normally mean +2 because it's in cover instead of 1. Normal saves are unaffected. You can only use the stratagem once per battle. So if you really need to keep a squad of, let's say, scouts with camo cloaks alive and a terrain feature, you don't move them, it's +3. So it's pretty nasty. You know, that helps keep them alive as 1 command point. I think it's pretty cool. Not a game changer, but it's a very strategic stratagem to be used. Next one is Sappers, 1 command point. Use a stratagem in your shooting phase or in the fight phase. And when an Imperial Fist unit from your army is chosen to shoot or fight with, until the end of that phase when resolving an attack made by the model that in that unit against a building, add 1 to the hit roll and add 1 to the wound roll. A building, woo! The next one, Pain is a lesson. 1 command point. Use stratagem in any phase. When an Imperial Fist unit from your army that is not a vehicle or servitor is chosen as the target of an enemy attack. Until the end of that phase, when a model in that unit loses a wound, roll a d6. On a 6-up, the wound is not lost. Next one is Close Range Bolter Fire, 2 command points. Use a stratagem in your shooting phase when an Imperial Fist unit from your army is chosen to shoot with. Until the end of that phase, bolt weapons, as I mentioned, models in that unit are equipped with have the pistol type instead of the normal type. That's kind of cool. Circumstantial. You can fire in combat. I like it. The next one's Bolter Drill. I've already gone over it for 2 command points. Next one's Stubborn Defense. 2 command points. Use a stratagem at the start of the battle. If an Imperial Fist Warlord from your army is on the battlefield. Until the end of the battle, you cannot discard Storm and defend objectives. But when you achieve one, you score 1 additional victory point. You can only use the stratagem if the mission you are playing uses tactical objectives, of course. Next one, Tank Hunters. 2 command points. A stratagem in your shooting phase or in the fight phase when you choose an Imperial Fist unit from your army to shoot or fight with. Select 1 enemy vehicle unit. Until the end of that phase when resolving an attack made by a model in that Imperial Fist unit against the selected unit, add 1 to the wound roll. Once again, cool. Next one, Champion of Blades. Once again, it's 1 command point. Use a stratagem after nominating a model drawn from Imperial Fist Successor Chapter to be your warlord. You can give 1 Relic of the Fists to the character model from your army that is drawn from the Imperial Fist Successor Chapter instead of giving them a special issue Warrior Relic or a Chapter Relic from Codex Space Marines. If you do, replace the Imperial Fist or Crimson Fist keywords in all instances and that relic with that model's chapter keyword. You can only use this stratagem once per battle. Sentinels of Terra. Of course, you have to have I was waiting for a stratagem named Sentinels of Terra. 1 command point. Use a stratagem after nominating Imperial Fist character model that is not named. Not a named character. To be your warlord, you can generate 1 additional warlord trait for them. This must be from the Imperial Fist warlord traits table. All warlord traits your army includes must be different. And if you're rolling doubles, you can just reroll 1 of the dice. You can only use a stratagem once per battle. The next one, Clearance Protocols. 1 command point. Use the stratagem in the shooting phase when an Imperial Fist unit from your army is chosen to shoot with. Up to 10 models in that unit that are equipped with grenades can throw a grenade that phase instead of only 1 model being able to do so. That could be pretty cool. Praetorian's Wrath. 2 command points. Use the stratagem at the start of your movement phase if the Devastator Doctrine is still alive. Is active. Until the start of the next movement phase when resolving an attack made with a heavy or grenade weapon by an Imperial Fist model from your army, an unmodified wound roll of 6. The armor penetration characteristic of that weapon is improved by an additional 1 for that attack. Cool. You can only use the stratagem once per battle. It's 2 command points. I'd use it probably turn 1. Gift of the Phalanx. 1 command point. Use a stratagem before the battle. Select 1 Imperial Fist model from your army that has the word Sergeant in the profile. That model can have one of the following special issue Warrior Relics, even though they are not a character: Mastercrafted Weapon, Digital Weapons, Fist of Terra, Gatebreaker Bolts. All the relics in your army includes must be different and given to different models. The Shield Unwavering, 2 command points. Use a stratagem at the start of your turn. Select 1 Imperial Fist infantry unit from your army that is within 3 inches of any objective markers. Until the start of your next turn, add 1 of the attack's characteristic of models in that unit, and when resolving an attack made against that unit, add 1 to the saving throw. Helps keep them alive. The next one, Slay the Tyrant. 1 command point. Use stratagem in your shooting phase or fight phase when a Crimson Fist unit from your army is chosen to shoot or fight with. Until the end of that phase, when resolving an attack made by a model in that unit against a character unit, add 1 to the hit roll. And finally, a Hatred Foe. Use a stratagem as 1 command point. A stratagem in your use a stratagem in the shooting phase or in the fight phase when a Crimson Fist unit from your army is chosen to shoot with or fight with. Until the end of that phase, when resolving an attack against a model in that unit against an orc unit, it can reroll to wound. Cool. And that's it. So as I said, it's pretty much all the new Codex supplement. It's not too complicated. You get the characters, you get the Dorn special rule, which is good against buildings and vehicles for the heavy weapons, while the heavy weapon doctrine is in place. Cool. You can take the new guy, who I kind of think is really cool. He can make one thing around him shoot better, so he'll be right beside the Repulsor Executioner in most competitive games if there's an Imperial Fist player. What's his name? Tor Garridan. I still like Captain Lysander and Tor Garridan. It just adds a little bit more competitiveness and a little more strategy with the tactical, now that you can actually take some stratagems and some warlord traits, and, it makes it more competitive. What do you think? What do you think about the new Imperial Fists Supplement to the Space Marines Codex? Leave comments in the comment section down below. Let's create a discussion and talk about the new Codex supplements, right? What do you think? I'm really excited to know what you think about this as well. Stay tuned for more Codex reviews and supplement reviews. I still gotta do the Salamanders. Till next time, this is Jay saying, and as always, of course, this is brought to you by my Patreon campaign. Link in the description below if you want to help support my videos. As you can see, their names go by my head. It's because of them that I can keep making these Codex reviews. So stay tuned for more reviews. Until next time, this is Jay saying, happy painting.